into one of actually many videos for today. This is the second video out of three. This probably won't even be up for like an hour. As I do have to record another video and make the thumbnails and upload them and all that. So that could take a while. Um, for those of you that don't know, yesterday was a very strange day. I hit 100 subs and I was gonna do a video, but then a massive tree fell in my backyard and flattened some stuff, and flattened the power cables, and we couldn't record anything except for a brief apology video, about me not being able to do it on my phone in a dark bathroom. So yeah, now I'm back, over here. After this video, I'll probably leave like 15 or 30 minutes in between the scheduling uploads, for you guys, in case you want to watch this and then watch it, but I'm gonna have I think, um, Tammy Baldwin versus Donald Trump prediction. Um, I forgot for a second there, but anyways, I'm gonna get started with my Senate prediction. Start by living all the Democratic safe states. Vermont, Maryland, you're gonna be safe. Hogan, Scott, not gonna run. Vermont, Leahy may retire, even if he does, still probably gonna be safe. Scott running with Leahy retirement could maybe be likely. Maryland, I don't really know why Chris Van Hollen would retire, but it's a possibility, I guess. So we are still gonna go label that safe though. Republican safe states. Um, in Indiana, I have labeled it likely in previous videos, just because I said that typically the Indiana Democratic Party run fairly strong candidates. But I mean, like, to be fair, that's just an assumption. I haven't looked much into this race, but generally speaking, I'm not aware of any strong candidates out of Indiana. Unlike, for example, Missouri, looking at Lucas Kuntz, I do see a strong candidate down there. Now for the Republicans or the Democrats' likely states, they actually don't have any. I forgot to label Colorado safe. I mean, like, Bennett outran Clinton, first off. Second off, Biden won about 13.5%. He's an incumbent senator, who outran Hillary Clinton. I would argue that Hillary Clinton may actually be a better candidate for a state like Colorado. Depends on who they're running against. Against Trump, I would say that Biden may be slightly better. But, in general, Clinton has more appeal, to Hispanic and Latino voters, I think. I think that she doesn't have as much to the white rural vote. As Biden, and Trump would definitely capitalize on that, which is why I do think it would still, which is why I think that Biden's probably better for a state like Colorado than Clinton, but generally, Bennett still ran ahead of Clinton. I would assume he would run similarly with Biden. The state's going to continue to shift to the left. I don't see him doing poorly enough with Hispanic and Latino voters, for it to shift to the right, and I could easily see it shifting at 1.5% to be safe. For the Republicans' likely states, Alaska, um, and New Hampshire. I think that's it. So, by the way, Iowa, it's going to be safe. Chuck Grassley's likely going to run. If he doesn't run, I would say likely D. If his grandson runs, maybe safety. But I mean, like, even if he doesn't run, if they run a weak candidate, the Iowa GOP, and the Democrats run a strong candidate, like I believe their attorney general is a fairly strong candidate, we could see this be a very competitive race, but it's highly unlikely. It's a lot of hypotheticals. I'm not going to dive into that. It's probably going to be safe. But anyways, Alaska, ranked choice voting. Murkowski's probably going to do pretty poorly on, with, I guess, the first choice. But she's going to do much better with the second and third. And overall, I mean, like, it's strange, but I do see her, still being a strong candidate in the state of Alaska. New Hampshire, this all depends on if Sununu runs. It's going to be a likely state, I think. It could be lean, but it's either going to be likely or lean for the Democrats or the Republicans. I could see it being lean D or lean R or likely D or likely R. The thing is, Sununu, I'm just going to assume that he does run. He's just so popular. He, we know that governors in New Hampshire typically do well. I mean, like Kelly Ayo in 2010, yes, it was a red wave, but she won like her Senate seat by like 30% or something. But then, Hassan, who only won her governor seat, which was, yes, in red wave, but still by 5%, still went on to win the Senate seat. So when you have a Republican governor who's really popular and who's winning by like 30%, it's looking like that's going to be an R+6 or R+7 state. Now for the Democrats' lean states, they're going to have Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. Not likely. In Nevada, CCM, she's going to do better in Clark County. She's probably also going to do better in Reno and Washoe County. I don't see her doing poorly enough there. I think she'll probably still nearly carry it, which will help her improve, as she obviously didn't carry it in 2016. I say obviously. If you didn't know, she didn't carry it in 2016. In Arizona GOP, they love Trumpists in Arizona as a whole, especially its traditionally conservative suburbs don't like Trumpists. So I see them almost certainly running a Trumpist. Kelly Ward, um, uh, Andy Gosar, or yeah, Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs. Bleh. Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs, not Andy Gosar and Paul Biggs. That's Mac. If you want to switch their names around and make their two well-known Trumpists in the House of Representatives from Arizona. So Mac, if you want to switch their first names around, feel free to. No, I'm kidding, but Mac, unless you want to. But they're gonna likely run Trumpists. They're gonna do really poorly in the suburbs. I see Kelly doing better, slightly better with white rural voters, and I see him doing better with the Hispanic and Latino vote. Pennsylvania, Fetterman. I mean, like he has a lot of populist appeal in Pittsburgh. I see him doing very well here. I see him doing very well with the or better with the rural vote. I see him doing well enough with the working class. I don't see him necessarily doing amazing in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia and its suburbs. I don't think it'll be enough. If he runs against Ryan Costello, I think it's still lean D. Costello would probably do better in Pennsylvania suburbs or Philadelphia suburbs, which is more is weaker. Fetterman, he's weaker in the suburbs, but he's better in Pittsburgh, and I would say that Costello is going to be pretty weak there, so it's kind of weird. They kind of play into each other's weaknesses. But I do think it would still be lean D. It is like a lean D state. For the Republicans' lean states, I'm going to go give them Missouri, Ohio, and Florida. Now in Missouri, I've discussed this in a whole video. I have a take that I feel like is not very popular. Um, when it comes to Missouri, I mean, like I have some really weird takes. Like people joke about UEP's New Hampshire takes, but I'm out here saying that Sununu is going to win by 7%. But regardless, I feel like my Missouri takes are also kind of weird, but I do think that this state could be blue. The thing is, Kuntz is a really good candidate. He's a lot like Cantor. I don't fully understand why um, when people will be like, he's like Cantor and say likely are. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because Blunt was an average Republican in the state, if we're being honest. He wasn't awful, but he also wasn't amazing. And I don't see the Missouri GOP running an amazing candidate. I see Kuntz being a really strong candidate, and narrowing this race up significantly. But if Eric Greitens is the nominee, I mean, like, here's the thing. Kuntz is the type of candidate who can turn an R+15 state into an R+3 state. Greitens is the type of candidate who can turn an R+15 state into an R+3 state. Because Greitens is a really bad candidate, and Kuntz is a really good candidate. I think we could see the seat be D+2 in a Greitens versus Kuntz matchup. I don't necessarily know it's the most likely scenario, but it's a possibility. And just given Kuntz's strength, I don't necessarily know that Greitens will be the nominee, but given Kuntz's strength, I'm gonna label it lean R. In Florida, I actually had this likely. I'm moving it down just because I don't think that Murphy's gonna do poorly enough with Hispanic and Latino voters in Miami. I see her doing better there than Biden. I mean, like, it's not gonna be like R+1 or anything. It's gonna be like R+4.5. Because Rubio is a strong incumbent. But I mean, like, I still see him likely carrying Pinellas County, but I just see her doing slightly better in Miami-Dade and the Miami area. Ohio, here's the thing. Tim Ryan is a really strong candidate. Tim Ryan is probably the best candidate that the Democrats can run in Ohio other than Sherrod Brown, it's a really good sign. I mean, like, he is an incredibly strong candidate. I'm gonna go get two maps pulled up just a second. Now looking at this, these are Sherrod Brown's 2018 numbers, in the state of Ohio. Now, once again, Tim Ryan is a lot like Sherrod Brown, progressive, populist, has lots and lots of appeal. He is a very strong candidate. Brown he once again was a really, really good candidate. He was able to win the seat by a lot. Against Josh Mandel, I think we could honestly see the seat end up being lean D. Um, maybe, like, not necessarily. It'll probably still be lean R. I see this being like R plus 2 though. Maybe, or, I don't know, somewhere around there, because Tim Ryan has a lot of he is a really, really good candidate. He has lots of appeal across the board. He has suburban appeal. He has appeal in urban areas, but most importantly, he has lots and lots of working class appeal. He has lots of appeal to Trumpist voters. Um, which is why I do think this race is probably lean R. It's Democrats. I mean, like, for an R plus 8 state, they're looking pretty good there. Obviously, long term and even short term, they're looking really, really bad. And even in the Senate race, they're expected to lose, but I would say that they're looking like they're going to overperform, um, 2020 numbers, and by a fairly decent amount. Now for the Democrats' tilt states, I'm gonna go give them Georgia. For the Republicans, I'm gonna go give them North Carolina. I'm gonna talk about Wisconsin in a minute. Georgia, I think it honestly could be lean. I think that we would likely see, um, and by the way, Herschel Walker's essentially the nominee at this point. It's not even debatable. Herschel Walker is the Democratic nominee. There's no way anyone else gets out of a Republican primary. In the Atlanta suburbs, I think Walker may narrowly overperform Trump. I think we would likely see less rural turnout, um, for Walker. So that's essentially what I think it would be. I think we would also likely see, um, honestly, actually, we could see, Warnock overperforming the Atlanta suburbs, just because of the fact that he'd likely be on the same ballot as Stacey Abrams, and she's not only good for the suburbs, but I think it should be good for these diversifying suburbs of Atlanta. I think we would likely see Warnock do very, very well with when he's on the same ballot as Stacey Abrams. So I do think at this point it's still probably lean D. I don't think that these voter restriction bills will do much. I mean, like, Stacey Abrams, I think that she has a lot of organizing strength, and she will likely turn out lots of voters. North Carolina, it has a Republican lean. If I'm talking Jackson, right now I'm talking Jackson Walker. I feel like that's probably the most likely scenario. Beasley Walker, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. That could easily be the case. Beasley Trump, obviously not Donald Trump, Laura Trump, I think it is. I forgot her name for a second. Um, or honestly, Jackson Trump. Those four are likely to be nominees. I see it probably being Jackson, Walker. Now the thing is, I think that both Jackson and Walker have plenty of working class appeal. I think that Jackson has appeal to the suburbs. I think that Walker has more appeal than Trump. In the suburbs, I think that Jackson probably has a little bit of rural appeal. Not a whole lot. I think that Walker probably has more though. Appeal to the rural vote. Obviously, just in general, probably not as much as Trump though. But I do think because of its Republican lean, it'll likely go to Walker. If it's Jackson McCrory, I'm gonna actually say it's tilt blue, just because McCrory is not a very good candidate. But I feel like Jackson Walker is much more likely. The state of Wisconsin is probably a toss up. I don't like to do toss ups. I like to try to label every state, because obviously, considering the fact that that there's a potential that Wisconsin is an exact tie, it's incredibly unlikely. So obviously there's going to be a winner. So I do like to try to predict winners, but it's so hard in Wisconsin, because Johnson, if he retires, it's tilt D in tilt lean D. And there's no convincing me out of it. If he retires, it's going to the Democrats. End of story. If the situation though is if he doesn't retire, this is where it gets very confusing, because people I've heard people saying that Sarah Godlewski is Democrats candidate. They're gonna win with her. Um, I actually watched a video just actually earlier today. UAP uploaded talking about why Godlewski was a really good candidate. I didn't see a whole lot about why she was a good candidate. I mean, like, I'm not gonna deny that she is. Most of what I saw was that or that Johnson is bad, which I'm like, yeah, he's not a very good candidate. But just considering he was making the argument that because he doesn't have a whole lot of appeal to the working class. But I mean, like, go look over here in this third district. Look at how, I mean, like, he won some of these he won some of these counties farther to the north in the third district, Dunn County, Pepin County. He won some of these more northern counties. Um, but he didn't do very well all across the district. And for those of you that don't know, this general area is a very working class district where Johnson didn't actually do very well. I mean, like, he didn't exactly perform amazingly there. So it's not as if he already had bags and bags of working class appeal before, which is why I'm gonna label it Tilt D or Tilt R. And like, we can go look at his margin of victory, 3.4%. With that little appeal to the working class, it doesn't matter if he's voting like a corporatist. If he already had that little appeal, he has plenty. He has a lot to lose. Or I guess I'm trying to find the right way to say it. There's a lot that he has room to lose votes by voting like a corporatist. Um, because I mean, like, he already performed poorly over there, and he still won by a larger margin than Trump, which is why it's probably still gonna be Till R. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Or my next video in like 30 minutes. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, hopefully it'll be going up in 30 minutes. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow or later or whenever. Bye.